Hello, Boston, and welcome to the Beyond Pride Initiative webinar, a presentation of data collected from the amazing LGBTQ plus community members that call Boston home. My name is Quincy J. Roberts Sr., the LGBTQ plus liaison for the great city of Boston. I am also the Education and Outreach Manager for the Boston Human Rights Commission. I am honored to be here to serve alongside my colleagues that have joined us here today.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susie Helmy, and I am the Program Manager of the Boston Human Rights Commission. I am beyond excited and blessed to be here, and I am excited for all of you to join us.
Hey, and good morning. My name is Richard Dayhill. I'm a Deputy Superintendent with the Boston Police Department. I am the liaison to the LGBTQ plus community. In full disclosure, I'm here at a family event, but it's so important to establish the relationship that I wanted to make sure that I was able to come. So I'm here and I'm excited to be a part of this program.
So let's get right into it. How did this all start? Prompted by the murder of transgender activist Jahara DeAlto on May 2nd, 2021, the Human Rights Commission formed an internal city group to brainstorm how the city can better support the LGBTQ plus community. Our city counterparts include the Mayor's Office of Women's Advancement, the Boston Police Department, Age Strong, and the Office of Neighborhood Services, among others. HRC, however, did not want to speak for the LGBTQ plus community. So we reached out to members of the community to hear from them directly.
Before we move forward, I have to take time out and bring Jahara and all our LGBTQ brothers and sisters that have lost their lives into this space. Please join me in taking a moment of silence to honor their legacy and to bring their energy into this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Quincy, and thank you to everyone who took a moment of silence for our beloved. And on that note, there were several common denominators in the feedback we received from our coalition meetings. Some of these denominators included housing, distrust with the Boston Police Department, and no city agency devoted to the LGBTQ plus community. After 12 coalition meetings, 3 community focus groups, several one-on-one meetings, some site visits, our Beyond Pride initiative was created. The goal of this initiative is to not only listen to the experiences of those in the LGBTQ plus community, but to promote equal and accessible city resources. We will do that with community focus groups and training for City Hall staff and providers. This initiative involves the facilitation of focus groups, resource guides, frequently asked question sheets, and training for City Hall department leadership and staff. One part of this initiative is the Beyond Pride survey.
In an effort to get feedback from individuals from all facets of the LGBTQ plus community, the Human Rights Commission designed the Beyond Pride survey, suited for both community members and allies. The purpose of the survey is to identify and understand the LGBTQ plus community's needs and perceptions of the City of Boston's services that we already offer. The survey is anonymous because we really wanted to encourage responders to provide honest and transparent feedback without fear. The survey contains questions regarding city resources, homelessness, and level of safety with the Boston Police Department. As of last week, we have received a total of 300 responses, a little bit over 300. We will use this feedback to lead our LGBTQ plus agenda for the City of Boston in 2022. We want to ensure that the resources the city offers are both equitable and accessible to all members of the LGBT community. Just to let everyone know how we kind of graded this survey. So we wanted to definitely make sure that we got age. We purposely, and I want to, before I go any forward, we purposely left race out of this because we want to visit that at a later date. So going right into the survey, the age group. So the age demographic so far that has the bulk would be the ages of, we're going to say 32%, we have 26 to 35. And then the other 25%, we have 36 to 45. So the bulk of the respondents are under the age of 50. We do have a huge support from our seniors that we just were recently able to engage with through Age Strong in the last 2 weeks. So we were able to kind of get that percentage up, but we want to encourage ourselves and encourage you to engage with our LGBTQ plus seniors as well. Our young folks are coming in a little bit over 14%. So that number is pretty consistent to what other studies have shown. Which neighborhoods? So of course, just square footage, Dorchester is the largest neighborhood. So and I actually live in Dorchester, so I'm excited about how many LGBTQ plus and allies identify that live in Dorchester. So Dorchester coming at over 30%. The other notable neighborhoods I want to point out would be Roxbury, Mission Hill area, South End, Back Bay area, Mattapan, Brighton, Austin, and East Boston. The other neighborhoods, and we have many neighborhoods in the city of Boston, came at below 5%. So we definitely have to do a better job of engaging in those neighborhoods. Next slide, please. So the next question, how do you identify with the LGBT community? We wanted to do a laser focus on making sure that we honor the entire LGBT community, and that includes our allies. We cannot do any of this work or move any of this work forward without our allies. So as you can see on the slide here, we had a pretty good turnout for our allies. Coming in at 10%. We did have one person or one individual that identified as asexual. Our bisexual community came out very, very strong with over 19%. The gay population dominated this survey at 38.7%. Coming in second, lesbian identified individuals at 24%. Pansexuals also had a great showing at 7%. Now, queer. Now, for me, as a Southern gentleman, born and raised in Henderson, North Carolina, the terminology queer historically was a derogatory term. So for me, what was really interesting for this data point, queer came in over 34%. So 34% of the respondents actually identify as queer. Transgender individuals, clearly we need to do a better job at engagement with our transgender community. So we're going to do that, as well as non-binary. So non-binary came in pretty much as the lowest for the engagement group that I know there's way more than 4 individuals that identify as non-binary. So what that says to me is HRC, Neighborhood Services, the city of Boston, we need to do a better job of engaging our transgender brothers and sisters, as well as our non-binary individuals. Now, one thing that sticks out on this spreadsheet for me was androgysexual. I have never heard of that. So even in my 15 years of LGBT work, I have to do a better job of understanding and learning these terms. Again, we do want to give everyone grace to learn and grow, including myself. So that's something that I have to research and just do a better job of engaging in. So this one is near and dear to my heart, as my start in the LGBT community was youth work and youth homelessness. If we look at this slide, what's very alarming, it's almost 50% of individuals that identify as LGBTQ have experienced some form of homelessness in their lifetime, and that includes couch surfing, excuse me. So this is something that we definitely have to take a laser focus on.
The next question asks, how comfortable are you being openly LGBTQ plus at work or school? Now, just as a note, this is graded from a scale of 1 being not comfortable at all to being very confident. As we see, 30, 33, 25% picked the highest portion of it, which means that individuals are feeling pretty confident, and we want to make sure we keep that up and that we get even more bigger numbers closer to the 5 range. Now, the next question asks, how much do you think the city of Boston values its LGBTQ plus community? As you can see, smack dab in the middle, 55% says pretty fair, which seems fair. But as my friend, colleague, and co-presenter Quincy always says, fair is good, but good is not great, which means we have work to do. Similarly, the next question asks, how satisfied are you with the City of Boston services? Again, 58%. Fair, but it's not great. So we have more work to do.
All right, so probably the most challenging experience that Susie and I have had has been building the relationship with the Boston Police Department. As we know, in 2021, police have a lot of work to do, but this is not a beat up session on the Boston Police or any police department in the United States. We do want to honor them and give them grace to learn. But one of the most important questions that I got a lot of feedback from was this one. How much do you trust? And the key word in that is trust. Trust the Boston Police to keep you safe. So if you see the towers, so we have 3 towers, and just keep in mind, this is on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being no trust at all, to 5 being we trust Boston Police. So we have our 3 towers here. We have 1 and 2 that are pretty much over 60% of the respondents. So 60% of the respondents do not trust the police, as well as the third column. The third column is fair. And as Susie just said, fair is okay. And as fair is good, but good is not great. And we want to be great. So overall, the city of Boston, we have to have a better relationship with the police, and vice versa. The police have to have a better relationship with the community. So we're using this data to just move us forward in that relationship that Superintendent Dayhill will talk about shortly. So thank you for all your honesty and all your responses on this question. We look forward to just continuing that relationship with Boston Police and making public safety a huge issue in this community.
Now, the last 2 questions of the survey were open-ended questions, and we received over 200 responses for these next 2 questions. The first of which asks, outside of Pride in June, what are some things you would like to see done for the LGBTQ plus community? After going through the responses, the top answers were increasing access and awareness of LGBTQ plus programs, services, and resources, safe spaces and community engagement events outside of Pride, address homelessness, addiction, and increase of mental health services.
As Susie just stated, we had over 200 responses, and we look forward to sharing that with different departments in the city of Boston, as well as some of the providers for LGBTQ individuals. But as we can see, it was a lot of emotions, a lot of great ideas, and a lot of wonderful feedback. For example, we had LGBTQ plus senior resources, allow community organizations to use City Hall for events. That's something that we used to do about 10 years ago here in the city of Boston. Affordable housing, a reoccurring community grants, supports of LGBT culture and nightlife, affordable, accessible housing, trans health conference like they do down in Philly, grants to support Black and brown queer youth leaders, more awareness events, resources and connections to city and local services. My personal favorite, last but not least, it is important to communicate through programs and events that the city is a safe zone and safe space for LGBTQ plus residents, and that the city supports the community holistically, fully, in its totality.
Now, the second of the two open-ended questions, which also garnished over 200 responses for us, was, what are the top 3 issues you want the city of Boston to focus on in 2022? The top responses, after reviewing all of them, states training, workshops, and town halls centered around education and experiences of the LGBTQ plus community, which includes housing, jobs, business ownerships, mental health, etc. The second, programs and engagement events throughout the year, including BCYF, LGBTQ plus youth focus, transgender focus, and LGBTQ plus senior focus, which include but not limited to Bagley Prom, drag shows, ball culture, etc. The last of which is police engagement, relationships, and LGBTQ plus public safety.
Amazing. And more items to focus on in 2022. We have our plates full. LGBTQ survivors of sexual violence, LGBTQ plus advocacy, knowing your rights, reporting procedures for the Boston Police, spotlight series for LGBTQ plus business owners and support, explicit bias towards the LGBT community. I think they mean training for that. Food pantries for LGBTQ plus individuals, and something that I'm working on myself in my personal life, LGBTQ plus family planning. That was one of the ones that really, really stuck out to the group as we were going over these notes.
Now I would like to introduce Deputy Superintendent Richard Dayhill, who has been an instrumental part of this Beyond Pride initiative, and he's going to speak to the BPD transgender policy.
Hey, thanks for having me again. Yeah, so the transgender policy was issued in April of this year, and it was based, we did it because the National Center for Transgender Equality sort of did a report on all the police departments in the country, and ours came back was not that great. So I said we can do better. So basically, we worked for a couple of months on introducing the policy. We worked with the national organization and some local organizations to get all the terminologies right. And then we got approval from the department and issued it in April. The policies specifically addresses a couple of different issues: non-discrimination based on gender identity, non-binary recognition, issues concerning transportation of prisoners, placements of transgender individuals in temporary lockups, access to medical care for transgender individuals, removal of appearance-related items for transgender individuals, and bathroom use. So that was issued in April of this year. We also started doing a class at the Academy for Recruits, and I want to thank Susie and Quincy for coming to the last one to really emphasize that historically, the relationship between the police department and the LGBTQ plus community hasn't been that great, and we need to really work on fixing that, and to treat all members of our community, including the LGBTQ plus community, with respect and dignity. We're also working on right now with the Bureau of Community Engagement of some youth programs for the LGBT plus youth in our city. That's still in its infancy, but we're really looking forward to getting that pushed out. And I think that's sort of what we've been working on so far. And I want to thank again both Susie and Quincy from the Human Rights Commission for really extending the hand to the Boston Police Department and helping us to work to repair our relationship with the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Dayhill. I know you don't like the formality, but I am a military brat and my parents wouldn't have it any other way. So we do thank you, sir, for your service.
Right, and just if we're gonna go that way, it's Deputy Superintendent.
Deputy.
Yeah, you give me a promotion.
Deputy Superintendent Dayhill, we do appreciate you and your continued partnership over the last four months with this project. I do want to go into next steps. As I promised everyone via email, we were not going to keep you too long on this beautiful Saturday. So we just want to get right into the next steps. We have all this data. We have over 300 respondents. We're keeping everything going. So what are we going to do with this information? So the next steps that the group came up with, of course, everybody knows that we have a new mayor, Mayor-elect Wu. Congratulations to your team and your administration. The first thing we want to do is actually share this data with that team to make sure that they're aware of what's going on in the community. I know a big thing for Mayor-elect Wu is meeting the community where they are. This is exactly what we're doing with this initiative. So we look forward to those conversations in the coming weeks. Community engagement tour, as Deputy Superintendent Dayhill mentioned, we are going on a tour, everybody. We're going to community centers, town halls, focus groups, you name it. We want to be there. So if you have any type of event that's going on, whether it's virtually or in person, we want to be there. We want to make sure that we're supporting the community, that we're meeting people where they are. So if you have any suggestions for us, please put in the chat or email me directly. Something else that's really, really cool that we're working on that I haven't seen the city do before is an In My Shoes video where we're highlighting 5 LGBTQ individuals that call Boston home. I am fortunate to be one of those 5 individuals, so I can't wait to share this In My Shoes video, just highlighting what it is to be an LGBT individual and how we navigate Boston, what Boston means to us. So that's going to be really cool and dope to share with everyone. Also, LGBTQ plus culturally competency training for all City of Boston staff, something that we're kind of already doing in partnership with Boston Police, as Deputy Superintendent just mentioned. We want to do more of those. So if you do have an agency that could use our help and some guidance, please send Susie or I an email and we'll get right to it. LGBTQ plus safe spaces and ally stickers. Something that our allies want is a way to show that they're allies, which I think is a great idea and which is wonderful. So we are coming up with allyship stickers where individuals can post in their office, on their car, wherever, that they can show the City of Boston that they are allies to the LGBTQ plus community. Of course, town halls, that is an ongoing thing. LGBTQ plus online newsletter. In that newsletter, we want to continue to highlight our community members. We have amazing community members that are doing videos, that are doing PSAs, that are doing advocacy work and policy work. We want to shed light on those individuals, as well as other LGBT nonprofits that are hosting events. We really, 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 really want to make sure that we are the central point for all those organizations and those individuals so they can get their the word out. Last but not least, Beyond Pride survey. We decided to keep this live as a suggestion from one of our allies, because throughout the year, we want to know what people are thinking. how they want to be a part of this initiative. So we're going to keep that live moving forward. As of right now, we will not close that. So we encourage you, if you have not filled out the survey, please do so. Next slide, please. All right, I want everyone that is watching this webinar to take a good look at this next slide. Try to get familiar with it. I know we're in real time right now, but take a screenshot of it, get familiar with it. Massachusetts has this rich history of fighting for LGBTQ equality, with the first LGBTQ plus marriages actually being on the steps of Cambridge, Massachusetts City Hall, as well as leading in transgender rights and transgender equality and legislation around transgender individuals. With all that progressiveness and progressive things going on around us, for me, stepping into the LGBTQ liaison role, I really wanted to do my research and see what the other cities were doing to serve the LGBT community in their respective cities. So from NYC, New York, which is kind of our neighbor, Connecticut, to down south in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I'm from. Many resources and activities centered around LGBT folks can be found online and right at their respective city halls and state levels. As we take a look at this slide and we look at these websites, we are clearly missing the best city in the United States. So with all this engagement and all this data and all this hard work, Boston, Massachusetts, unfortunately, is the only major city, I should correct myself and say the only major city that does not have an LGBT affairs department. We do not have a central location for LGBT individuals to come to. We need a central location to put all this data and these resources in. So with all this, we wanted to make recommendations for the city of Boston, and that recommendation would be to establish the first LGBTQ plus affairs department for the city of Boston, so we can continue this work. I look forward to continued engagement and service. I really want to just thank everyone for listening to us. This has been a long 4 months, challenging 4 months under COVID and under different transitions that we all have been going through. We really appreciate you all for participating in this survey and this data collection. I appreciate you, and I really look forward to ongoing work around this issue. Thank you.
We're going to open it now up for some questions and answers, comments that anyone might have. If you do, please raise your hand, write it in the comment box. You can also email Quincy and I. Our emails are, my email is susan.helmy@boston.gov, and Quincy is quincy.roberts@boston.gov. I do see that we have an individual.
Good morning. Good afternoon, guys.
Go ahead.
So I just want to say thank you for a great presentation, first and foremost. I think it was well laid out of what our plan should be. I think also when you talked about the food pantry for LGBTQ, right now I'm a part of the City of Boston Food Access Committee, and I've been raising that concern up to them about creating a food pantry just dedicated for the LGBTQ community, and they're on board. I think that we just have to find some space that they can allocate for us to open up that particular food pantry. So I'd love to see how we can explore that a little further, as I am already in communication and conversation with them about trying to open up that type of food pantry.
Thank you. And for full disclosure, that's my little brother, Curtis Santos. I appreciate all the hard work that you have done with Boston Urban Pride. You're amazing, young man. Continue to do what you do. As you said, you are already doing the work, and that's some of the things that we want to do. We know people are out here, many individuals are doing lots and lots of wonderful work for the LGBT community. But I think for us, we have to do a better job of making it central, so everyone has access to it. And you're right, we want to be able to be the resource for you and other organizations, so we can find those spaces, whether that's city space or space in general. We want to be able to help you with that. So you are right. Please stay with us. Continue to show up. And I promise you, I will continue to do the best I can to make sure that those resources are provided, sir.
Thank you, Curtis. I don't see any other comments or questions in the chat or any raised hands. I hope I'm not missing anybody.
And it's okay if you don't have any questions right away. That was a lot of information we just tried to give you in a 20 to 30 minute slide. However, this is recorded. We also want to be able to provide this to you. So if you know anyone that wanted to be here that couldn't be here in real time, we will provide them this slide of this recording, as well as we're willing to meet you where you are. We can come to your site and chat it up, because we really want everyone at the table. We don't want certain people at the table and certain people not. We want everyone at the table because we really want to be a coalition. Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so if we don't have any more questions, we're going to get into the thank yous. So I really want to, and Commissioner just said thank you to us. I want to thank you to the Human Rights Commission and all the commissioners. Too many to name by name, but we really thank you. We want to thank Mayor Janey, Mayor-elect Wu, the Equity and Inclusion Cabinet, everyone under there, especially Chief Selena Barrios Milner, as well as Chief Aisha Miller from the Neighborhood Services Cabinet. You all have been instrumental to this work, and we appreciate you all for giving us this platform to do the work. It could not be done without you all. And last but not least, we want to thank everyone that's on this call, part of this webinar, and everyone who's participated in the survey, focus groups. I appreciate you, everyone who's given me feedback, constructive criticism, encouragement. We thank you because this work cannot be done without you.
I echo all of Quincy's thank yous, especially to those that tuned in to us today and who have had conversations with us and will continue to have conversations with us. This is just the beginning, and I look forward to the work that we can do together. And I really want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this. And on that note, because it's a beautiful day and I do not want to keep anyone here, we wish you all a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day, Boston.